Um, when you were getting started out, I read somewhere that you had no intention of building a company. That you were just out to do stuff for yourselves. If you can give me...
Right.
I don't know the question they asked to get that, but...
Well, at the time we started Apple, Woz was working for Hewlett-Packard. I was working for Atari, actually for Nolan Bushnell, designing video games. And we went to Atari and showed them our early prototypes, and we went to HP. And we encouraged each company to hire the other one and let us do this for them. And we got turned down in both places, probably for good reasons. But we started a company because it was the only alternative left, not because we wanted to.
When did you ever think that this was really going to happen? That this was going to go from just an interesting idea to...
Oh, it didn't take very long. It happened for me when I saw people that could never possibly design a computer, could never possibly build a hardware kit, could never possibly assemble their own keyboards and monitors, could never even write their own software using these things. Then you knew something very big was going to happen. When we'd gotten to that stage where we were high enough on the food chain, if you will, that a lot of people could use these things, and they were really liking it.
Were you out to build a company or change the world?
When we started Apple, we were out to build computers for our friends. That was all. No idea of a company.
I want to get your thoughts on the user interface stuff, and I'd like to look at the transition of Xerox to Apple.
Okay.
When did you hear? What was the image of Xerox PARC, and what was it like when you first went in there?
Well, Xerox PARC was a research lab set up by Xerox when they were making a lot of profits in the copier days, and they were doing some computer science research, which was basically an extension of some stuff started by a guy named Doug Engelbart when he was at SRI. Doug had invented the mouse and invented the bitmap display, and some Xerox folks that Xerox, I believe, hired away from Doug or split off from Doug somehow and got to Xerox, were continuing along in this vein. And I first went over there in 1979, and I saw what they were doing with the larger screens, proportionally spaced text, and the mouse. And it was just instantly obvious to anyone that this was the way things should be. And so I remember coming back to Apple thinking, our future has just changed. This is where we have to go. The problem was that Xerox had never made a commercial computer. This group of people at Xerox was more concerned with looking out 15 years than they were looking out 15 months and trying to make a product that somebody could use. So there were a lot of issues that they hadn't solved, like menus and other things like that. And at Apple, what we had to do was to do two things. One was complete the research, which really was only about 50% complete. And the second was to find a way to implement it at a low enough cost where people would buy it. And that was really our challenge.
What did you succeed in doing with the Mac?
Well, the Macintosh, as you remember when it came out, we called it the computer for the rest of us. And what that meant was that while experts could use some of the computers that were already out, most people didn't want, again, the computer was not an end in itself, it was a means to an end. And so most people didn't want to learn how to use the computer, they just wanted to use it. And the Macintosh was supposed to be the computer for people that just wanted to use a computer without having to learn how to use one. Spent 6 months. Now, it turned out that the paradox was that to make a computer easier to use, you needed a more powerful computer in the first place because you were going to burn a lot of the cycles on making it easy to use. And so this computer that was easy to use was actually more powerful and could do more things than the less easy to use computer. And it took people a few years to figure that out about the Macintosh, but I think people did.